behavior is so...
Hi everyone, I'm back with another video, and as you can tell by the title, we're in for a hell of a time. After my last video I got a ton of mixed feedback, most of which I was really appreciative of. However, I also got to interact with my fair share of toxic fans, which is why I'm making this video. I'd like to make it very clear that you are allowed to have whatever opinion you want, and you are allowed to express it to me if you feel I've missed something or just don't agree. Where I draw the line is people being toxic for the sake of seeming edgy or cool, especially stans on Twitter. So here's a message to the different kinds of toxic stans. The majority of the people who came after my last video fall under this category, and honestly they have a right to be angry. I firstly want to apologize, because I never meant to insinuate that BTS or EXO were lazy in any way. I know that they are extremely hardworking and deserve the popularity that they have now. I acknowledge my mistake on that part, and what I was trying to say wasn't communicated well. However, a lot of people weren't even trying to see the point I was trying to make, they just got defensive and started attacking without listening. The first thing I'd like to say is I get it. I totally understand what it's like to be a fan of an idol and want to defend them. I mean, if anybody came for Doyoung, or any of the groups I stan, I'd definitely want to throw hands. It's important to realize that despite the image they are supposed to portray, idols are not perfect. I think I should say that again just so it sinks in. Idols are not perfect. Sometimes people mess up, sometimes people commit serious crimes. Stans need to understand the difference between standing by someone through false rumors, and being blinded by the person they thought they knew. It's also pretty obvious when an idol has learned their lesson, whether or not their company allows them to apologize or speak on a scandal. So please don't jump to conclusions either, because it just makes you look stupid. If you aren't on Twitter, feel free to skip ahead, as this is mostly a Twitter issue. All I want to know is what on earth is the point in inserting a completely irrelevant fan cam under a bunch of tweets? There's a reason why everybody hates K-pop stans, and it's not because everybody hates K-pop. It's because a lot of people take it upon themselves to use actually serious situations to promote their faves or post a fan cam under. That's incredibly insensitive. I'm not saying never use fancams, because that would be hypocritical. All I'm saying is that there's a time and a place. I also think people need to realize what it looks like to other people. It looks dismissive and frankly quite like you're making a joke out of something when you just drop a fancam underneath it, but I guess that's kind of the point of Twitter, isn't it? So I can actually understand this group, because I used to be one. I used to bandwagon hate a few groups because their fandoms were annoying and I thought they were problematic, but the issue was I jumped to a large conclusion based on a very small amount of data. And that's what bandwagon hate stans do. They hear the smallest bit of information about a group they already don't really like, and use it as fuel for hate. Great examples of this are what happened with iKON when people were accusing them of being homophobic, or Bam Bam with the N-word situation, or honestly anything Momoland does. It's so easy to get sucked into this group because you can hide behind the guise of moral righteousness without realizing that you're missing a ton of information. Solo stans are just a different breed. Now most K-pop stans have at least one bias in a group, I certainly do too, but the difference is that most K-pop stans can at least support the whole group. I can understand that everybody has different tastes, and you don't necessarily have to like every single member in a group. Where it starts to get toxic is when stans start to lift one member up while tearing every other member down. I don't understand what kind of satisfaction you can get from that, and it's so ironic because K-pop idols and groups usually think of their members as family, so there's no point trying to single anybody out. The same goes for stans who try to get one member to leave the group. It's really harmful, especially if God forbid the idols themselves see it. So these people are harder to deal with, because they are kind of a combination of all kinds of toxic stans. These people will just throw hate in any direction just for the fun of it, not caring who they bring up or who they hurt in the process. All I can say is don't interact, block and report. So there, I hope you learned something from this video. I'd just like to make it clear that I'd been planning on making this at some point, but the timing is just too good for me to pass it up right now. I'd also like to give a shout out to the really cool and amazing stans out there who have civil discussions with one another, whether or not they see eye to eye. They also try to get all the facts before jumping to conclusions and keep all their socials super positive. I see you guys and you're awesome. I also just want to issue a reminder to everybody that there is a person that receives every message you send. Whether it's a fellow stan or an idol or a staff member, someone sees it, and some of the things you say and do can be hurtful. Stay cool, and subscribe.